And we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet So Hail. I'm wearing all my rings as I told Marcelo for this episode because why not? It's kind of appropriate with the characters. Marcelo, I'm so glad you're joining me yet again for another casual and informal conversation about Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Today we're talking about a space adventure hour, or in universe, or in the holodeck universe, what was the show called? The Last
Uh,
Frontier. The last,
the Last Frontier, yeah,
it was The
yeah.
Last Frontier.
hmm
How great is that? Oh my gosh.
yeah. The opening to this episode is worth the price of admission alone.
I have some mixed feelings about it. We can talk about it more in the deep dive, but overall, yes, I thought I was I guess I was like grinning and enjoying it.
Right.
Overall, it was a very fun episode. Do you want to do the
Right.
episode summary, or shall I do it? Or
Oh,
I mean,
you
it's
could do
pretty
it.
simple. All right, this one's simple. Uh, there's this holodeck technology, uh, or recreation room, which is what kind of came before the holodeck in the animated series. And actually, if you remember, wasn't there a short tracks in Discovery where Captain Pike was testing? It was like a Kobayashi Maru, but it was also simulation, and it was
Yeah.
on just like they said in this episode. This technology was only available on space stations before, and that's what had happened. I think they were on the space station and they were testing it because they were testing that one engineer, I believe, and that was the first time we saw this like weird version of engineering on the Enterprise
Yeah.
that was like totally different. But anyways, lots of stuff to unpack here. But anyways, they're testing this on ships as a recreation room, and basically similar to what Data did in his season 2 holodeck episode where he challenged the holodeck to create a nemesis for him. La'an does something similar, and the AI on the Enterprise rises to the challenge and creates a very interesting mystery for her to solve. But in the meantime, the dilemma is that they're observing this kind of like collapsing star, and there's gamma rays and lots of dangers. And unfortunately, the holodeck simulation is too complicated to just shut down, because if you do, it could wreck the whole ship. So Scotty is just going nuts trying to figure it all out. Um, but he does do it quite brilliantly. And once La'an solves the holodeck mystery, they can safely shut down the program, and then we get this like bombshell moment where Spock and La'an kiss. so yeah, I think I covered everything. What do you think? Was that a good
Yeah.
summary?
No. That was a great summary. This this episode was so much fun to watch because basically Lon is one of my favorite characters. So to see her character get pushed to the front, and to see Lon have to do like a gumshoe mystery, this episode was very reminiscent of the TNG episodes featuring Dixon Hill and those type of episodes. It was absolutely so wonderful from start to finish. But the only thing that I'm wondering is that wouldn't it be a good idea to have like some backup emergency code for holodecks, like every
You mean
time.
like a safe word or something?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, like
like when you're
well,
role playing, you
yeah,
like
you know what I, you know what you laugh, but I think that's kind of funny.
that is kind
You
of
know,
a good idea. But
yeah,
when
that's a
have
good
they
idea.
ever, I feel like they never learn, like this is the
They never
first.
learned.
Yeah. What's cool about this episode is that it's very meta and very layered, in that there's a lot of Star
There's a lot
Trek's
going on.
there's a lot of layers of Star Trek's history both on the screen and off the screen interwoven through this kind of partial parody, partial homage. I think it's like, obviously we're reacting to it. We just saw the episode, but I think this episode has a lot to unpack and will reveal more and more. The more you know about Star Trek, I think the more interesting it gets, and like, one wonders what the intention of the writers is and so on. And we can't move further without saying, of course, that this is Jonathan Frakes episode. So I think that's one of the reasons I enjoyed it so much. Is I've always enjoyed Jonathan Frakes directing, and he like brings something out of the actors that's like very unique and special. And this is like, you know Jonathan Frakes would know all the holodeck kind of tropes, and they do kind of like, that's the part that I kind of like think was, both fun, but also at the same time I wish they had kind of done something a little bit different. But I don't know. I think I would have succumbed to the temptation, but I feel like it was too similar to the TNG holodeck and not like prototype enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, prototype
It
enough. Okay.
this is supposed to be something they're like testing out, and it's like new technology, but it like was so much like the TNG version of the holodeck that I wish they had just kind of like done something. I don't mind that the simulation looked flawless, like, and real, but just like the like Spock calls for an arc, things like that, those
An
things. I
arc,
wish
right?
they'd just use like different terminology that they made up, that and stuff like that. But it's a minor detail and nitpick. It's not like something that I'm like really um hung up about. But yeah, overall I really enjoyed this episode. I'm excited to talk to you about the ins and outs of it. um
Yeah, yeah. To your point, I would have really appreciated if while Laan and Spock were walking, were basically walking on the holodeck. I would have appreciated it if, like, they look at like a, they look at a desk, and that desk is sort of like phasing in and out of space because the program isn't fully done yet. It's still in testing phase. And I think if it would have been something like that, maybe that would have addressed some of your concerns.
no, I wasn't looking for like I wasn't looking for like like a prototype in the sense that it's glitchy, although
Uh,
it was glitchy in the sense that the Spock hologram, which was interesting. Like, there are times where you're kind of like, oh, that's like, and Lon catches on to it itself. But I think that there were times where I was like wondering, like, what's up with Spock? Like, why is he like different? And it was
yeah,
interesting. I don't remember the reason why we don't see him
in
also on the
in
bridge or
costume.
something, where, yeah, or where he was in costume. That's like, I think maybe one thing is that like the show, La'an brings Spock into the asks request for Spock to come into the holodeck, and we're meant to believe that that's the real life Spock that comes into the holodeck, and we find out at the end that it's actually a hologram, that it's been a hologram all the time. So I'm like wondering, what, I can't remember if the episode addressed where the real Spock might have been during all of that.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Or was he
Mhm.
observing the holodeck
He
simulation the whole time? Or I don't know, it's like a little unclear on that, but maybe the audience caught it and can tell us a little bit better on that, in that regard.
Yeah, for my money, he might have been observing it. He might have been watching it because I think
I don't know. I
if
don't think
if
so,
the
but I don't know where he was. Like, what was Spock
yeah,
doing? Was he off duty? Like, did he like? Yeah, I just
I
don't
don't
remember
know.
them saying.
I
So if
don't
you
know.
didn't catch it and I didn't catch it, maybe they didn't
No, I
address
no,
it.
but you know what? I think the reason why he wasn't there, I mean, no, I mean that's kind of, look. I was gonna say he may have been he may have been a little bit worried about spending time with La'an in this sort of setting because maybe that would have brought out another set. maybe that would have brought out more of his personality, and maybe that would have brought out more feelings that he had towards her more quickly if he would have gone to the holodeck himself. I don't know.
No, but the holodeck tricked her. It never allowed her communication requesting Spock to. You see what I'm saying? Like the
Right,
holodeck tricked her into thinking that she was calling the real Spock into the
but she wasn't.
simulation, but she wasn't. So Spock didn't know that he was being requested, first of all. But I mean, I was just speculating wildly, but he
Mhm.
clearly wasn't observing it because he would have tried to stop it when it got out of
Right,
control. So
right.
I just don't know where Spock. He was just lamenting over Christine. Maybe I don't know, like
Oh
what
god,
he
that's
was
over.
doing.
I
That's
mean, look,
possible. He could have
I
been
yeah,
upgrading the systems or something, doing something sciency
mhm,
in medical because we don't really see the medical. We don't see the medical department
mhm.
in this episode. So
Um,
I'm gonna guess that that's where Spock was.
the one thing that I was a little bit unsure about, despite me loving it so much, is the opening to this episode. The opening to this episode was so fun and so out there, but it was really jarring because I think Jonathan Frakes gave Paul Wesley the note of going, okay, I want you to be like the prototypical Shatner, but not. Like the scene the scene worked for me, but like it's so obvious what Paul Wesley was trying to do that it almost took me out of it. How did you feel about that?
I I went back and forth. At times I thought it was a little cringe, but I also found it to be funny. Overwhelmingly, I think I found it to be funny, but I was kind of like, I know that William Shatner may be a figure that people have mixed feelings about. Like certainly our friend Fathery over at Text Trek has expressed his feelings about him. I have a different perspective about William Shatner. I think I mostly just like really enjoy his acting and his performance style and everything like that. And so I've always thought that I guess Jim Carrey was one of the first people who kind of like made fun of him
Yeah,
on
and
In Living Color, like back in the day. Or was it on
yeah,
In Living Color? Yeah, I think so, right?
no,
Or just in
uh,
general, like the Ace
uh,
Ventura, Pet
yes,
Detective.
if
That's
it were a
right. Yeah,
pet
yeah.
detective, yes, yeah, the,
But
yeah,
I think that like uh at the same time, like sometimes people do it lovingly because even though it's an exaggeration of Shatner, like it's also kind of like, he's so unique and singular in his performance style. Like William Shatner cannot be mistaken for anyone else. Like you can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, so
mhm.
I think sometimes people who do the impressions are doing it lovingly. So there's just lots of layers because then they also integrate later on some of the just hints of some of the behind the scenes kind of interactions between the actors, like, like it was just very interesting. But regarding the cold open specifically, I was like kind of I enjoyed it, but I was teetering
It threw
on
me off.
it was threw me off too. It was like I was teetering on that maybe it's a little cringy at times. Like, I think there was an opportunity to do a really faithful recreation of the Star Trek TOS
Oh, that would've been great.
style, and I might have chosen to do that personally more than a
What they
parody.
did.
Yeah, a parody, but I'm not saying I didn't enjoy it, but I'm just saying that I might have chosen a little bit differently and maybe
Mm,
tone down Paul Wesley's impersonation to be a little more realistic, like to be more like Shatner's. But like that's just, whatever. At the end of the day, they chose that to give a little lightheartedness and humor to it, and it certainly worked. My initial reaction was like, "Is this a terrible parody of Star Trek?" Because there's like the switches are too big, but I couldn't help laugh. The alien especially made me laugh.
it was
The
so funny.
Egonian and like that, like
And
they
you see
want brain cells, like
yeah,
like it's
yeah,
like
and you see and you see the strings,
and
like
yeah, the strings on it.
yeah,
And
all
then my
puffed up.
favorite thing, I think the thing that turned me was like I love the way William Shatner says the word sabotage, like
Sabotage.
well, some people say sabotage, but he says sabotage, right?
Mm.
And I think sabotage is the correct way to say it, but there's a there's a part where Paul Wesley says, and I wrote it down, jurisdiction, and he says it like He says it like
Jurisdiction.
jurisdiction. And so I just like I was cracking up because I was like, oh my gosh, like that's my new way of saying jurisdiction. Like I have no like that's
Jurisdiction.
jurisdiction. So to me, I thought that was delightful in a
Yeah.
weird way, homaging that. I would love to know how William Shatner reacts to this. Another note I made that was interesting about that cold open is uh, he says that like in the thing he says it's like 84-month mission, which equals 7 years. I looked it up.
Oh, well, okay. Look at
So that's kind of that's kind
that's
of a cool
cool.
thing. Yeah,
That's
because
cool. Look
like
at you doing
seven,
extra math.
whatever, it's easy. You just use a calculator. But the 7 year thing I thought was cool because that used to be the gold standard for shows like you got a 7 year. Well, at least for Star Trek, it
Yeah.
seemed to be like a gold standard. So the other thing I like was that their mission was to get their joy back, get back our joy. That was funny. And then the ship is called the USS Adventure, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. And, yeah, and the actual opening to this episode was the
Oh, the
opening to the
music,
show.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did the Strange New Worlds music, like, kind of retro, which is very
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was absolutely wonderful. It just was great. And another thing I loved about this episode, I love now when I love now when La'an and Spock just dance. I like that to me
Oh,
is the
yeah, the
coolest
tango
thing
stuff.
ever.
Yeah.
Like it's just really good. And when I was watching them do their thing at the start of this episode, I had in the back of my head, like, it'll be really cool to see them hook up.
Jeez.
Which
I'm,
which
like,
I
the
kind of think they're
opposite.
going in that direction. Um,
I do like the Battelle Pike, romance a lot, but I'm, like, the opposite when it comes to I'm kinda over this all the Spock romances, but you know what?
oh yeah,
I have to give credit to,
right.
Ethan Peck because, he kinda pulls off the same kinda sexiness that Leonard Nimoy could pull off, that restraint. When he shows the restraint, there's just something, like, very, like, you know, hot about that. So, I hope he's having the same effect on people. I think he is actually from my own, reactions to it,
Right.
that Leonard Nimoy had on people. Because Spock was like a like that's all the ladies like wanted Spock. Like we're after
Yeah.
Spock. So I feel like history might be repeating itself a little bit, and so yeah, I do have to give Ethan. That scene was very like kind of like you could cut the tension and
With a knife. Yeah.
yeah, and the chemistry. It was so good. Like it was very
Mhm.
sexy, for lack of a better phrasing.
Yeah.
Um, but what did you think of the actual mystery? The character of Amelia Moon, like all the different,
Yeah.
characters, like,
I
all the everyone in the cast got to play like this unique, interesting character. But like, what's it like? I like how the holodeck, Scotty explains like more detail, kind of like how this holodeck works. And he's like, of course we scan La'an really well,
mhm,
but everyone else's information they got from the transporter buffer patterns, right? Like the stored
mhm,
transporter patterns, I guess.
mhm.
Which is kind of creepy because that means you have like it's kind of creepy. I don't know. We could parse go into that if we want to, but anyways, but I like that there was like Rebecca Romaine's character or Una's character was what was her name? I wrote it down
I
here. It
can't
was
remember.
hold on, I wrote it down.
I'm
It's
drawing a blank.
Sunny Lupino. I love I loved all the names. But she was kind of like a proxy for Lucille Ball, and then
Yeah,
the
she was.
Anson Mount's character TK was like Gene
She's
Roddenberry.
Rob Baron.
I thought so. Um and then I
Yeah.
liked, just all of the other characters, oh, I love that they called him Detective Spock. Like, oh, all we already know Paul Wesley's character Maxwell was like a Shatner proxy.
Mhm.
I thought that Celia Rose Gooding's character was a direct kind of like at one point was just like a beautiful kind of homage to Nichelle Nichols, and her
Right.
monologue was, I think, the best part of the episode when she talks about like the importance of the show and like what it could mean to people and like why uh uh the Last Frontier was like worth, you know, worth producing and stuff like that. That moment kind of like made my heart sing a little bit because it's exactly what Star Trek like that's what Star Trek means to me. And I didn't write down I wish I'd written down the exact wording of the monologue, but when this premieres we'll uh we'll somehow put it in the chat or something like that. Yeah. So future Sohail, be sure to,
We'll put in
be
the
sure to
chat.
put it in the chat, write down the monologue, tweet about it because it was so spot on. It was like perfect. But yeah, what did
Yeah,
you think of the whole simulation and the characters that they were doing
I
and all that stuff?
I thought the whole simulation was absolutely wonderful. My favorite character was Laan. The character that she played was very, very reminiscent of Dixon Hill. And I just love how the actress who plays Laan was absolutely stunning throughout the whole episode. But my favorite thing about this episode is the way that it's like a loving letter to Star Trek and a parody at the same time. And I also love
Yeah, it's weird.
how yeah, I also love how the show within this episode, the Last Frontier, is almost like a carbon copy of actually Star Trek. In the episode, it actually goes through some of the things that Star Trek went through in its initial run, and the thing that Uhura says is something very reminiscent of a what someone who is a diehard Star Trek fan like Sohail would say. So it was just
And Marcel, I feel like you're a diehard Star Trek fan, and many of the folks that are
yeah,
in our audience, there's a lot of us out there.
yeah, that her speech particularly hit me kind of hard because um there's when you are attached to a specific type of media, like, only other fans can really understand what that media means to you, and those other folks who are not in the bubble for various reasons don't get it. But if you get it, you just get it. And if that monologue that she gave almost made me cry. I really, it really struck my heartstrings like it did yours.
Well, I think it's what also saves the episode from being just like a cringe parody, as I described it earlier, to elevating it to something else, because
Mm,
you realize it kind of like shows you that like yes, there's all this crazy shit that goes on. Pardon
right.
my French. Excuse me, and burping too. What the heck is going on? Like, it's late at night. I'm drinking. Anyway, and it's not late at night when this is airing because airs in the
Nope.
in the
8 o'clock.
daytime.
Oh,
Apology
no, no, no. Sorry, sorry.
Apologies for being
Sorry.
a hot mess here, audience, but combination of emotions and fatigue and all that stuff. But anyways, um it elevates the episode, I think, and takes you out of the little minutia that we kind of obsess with and like all the little things, and it reminds you that even with sets that may not be sophisticated and perfect and like all that, if a show like Star Trek has such a heart to it, that like maybe maybe that's what you should be focused on, is the heart of the show, and not and Star Trek certainly has 50 years plus of heart, you know that
Right.
it's given to us. And yeah, like you said, it's like for many people Star Trek um is transformative. It's changed their lives, in some way or another, given them hope. Like she says about like, how many kids are gonna look up at the stars, or gonna seek the stars. I think she says or something like that because of the show. Of course, it's
Right.
worth making and stuff like that. So that was a really cool moment. I think that's the highlight of the episode for me for sure. Um,
Yeah, and I just, I mean, the highlight for me is the very very end of the episode when when Lon are doing the little dance, but we're not quite there yet. But
we'll come
I,
back
I
to it. We'll come back to
I also listen.
it.
I also this is a really really small scene, but when they're when all the holiday characters are in the house and they're having that giant fight, and Laan and the fake Spock are on the balcony watching them all fight. It's just a really really fun scene because it's really really cool, seeing the actress who plays Nurse Chapel use her actual voice.
Oh, her accent. Yeah, her
Her
actual
accent,
Australian
yeah,
accent.
yeah,
Jess Bush got to
it's
use
Bush.
her accent, which is very
It's
cool.
supposed to
Yeah.
really cool. It's really
And I
cool.
think her character's name is like Adelaide or something like that.
Yeah, it's Adelaide.
But
Yeah.
I love when Paul Wesley's having a tantrum about like with the with Anson Mount's Anson Mount's. We haven't even talked about each of the
Oh,
individual characters, but Anson Mount's so great as this like weird this weirdo.
he's Gene
This
Roddenberry. It's
total
Gene
weirdo.
Roddenberry.
But I love when Paul Wesley turns and he goes, "And who is this guy?" like
Who
about
is this guy?
what the hell? Like, he's just like so thrown off about him and
I
everything
created the
like that.
show. Damn you!
Oh yeah. And later on in the bloopers are the best too, because the fake bloopers, because it's my line. It's and the alien like needing help and all that. Oh, when he sorry, we're skipping around over here, but I just can't have to mention that I thought it was brilliant that that Jonathan Frakes put in the Riker reference when he tries to put his
Yeah,
leg
the
over the
chair.
chair, but the chair's too tall. And there's a meme, by the way. There's a meme about that of like Riker,
Yeah.
like there's a meme about Riker smiling with a when presented with like a gigantic chair with like,
Hmm.
so I don't know. This show's brilliant. This episode's brilliant in so many ways. It's very meta,
Yeah.
as the kids like to say.
Yeah. It's
But I want to go back for a second and talk about something that really endeared me was like I've always loved the character of Scotty, but I thought this was like a great Scotty episode,
mhm,
um, because I like that they've been kind of like showing how he's been dealing with
mhm.
um, the ramification. I guess the
The
aftermath.
Vanford, right.
Of what happened to him, to his ship. And here he finally kind of revealed, like, he's bent on working alone, and that's kind of like Scotty's thing. Later on, he's actually a very good team leader, of course, when he
Mhm.
heads up engineering, and he certainly has learned. But here, but there are times where you're like, Scotty's the only one who could do it, and he's kind of like, whatever, and you can see that he's carrying that burden on him. It's like he's lost his kind of like trust in teammates and stuff. And I love that scene where um Una just kind of like, addresses it at the end and says like, basically like, says to him like, on this ship we really um we value when someone knows when to ask for help. Both me and the captain. And I thought that was like a great lesson for Scotty, and for a reminder for all of us that like nobody really succeeds alone. Sometimes you do need to ask for help.
Yeah, watching Scotty go through the ringer in this episode, specifically the third act, when everything goes haywire, is really what was really really heartbreaking to me because I kept thinking Scotty, you're not the miracle worker yet. You can ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. These are the people to ask for help. But he felt so responsible for what was happening, that it's like he almost forgot. And that moment when Una said, you know, here, here I'm paraphrasing here, but she basically said, here it's not all about, one person. It's about the whole, basically. And I thought that that really gave Scotty a sense of peace and a sense of these. I can actually lean on my crewmates when I actually have to. Like it all doesn't have to be on my shoulders the whole time. So I
Also,
I
the
really
other thing. Oh, sorry. The other thing that I really enjoyed was I'm a huge Scotty Uhura fan from Star Trek Five when they kind of it's realized that they're like they could be lovers or they are lovers or like I don't know, it's like a thing, but I love that little thing, where Scotty and her have an attraction to each other is a better way to put it
yeah,
in Star Trek
they have a
5. And I
moment.
felt they have a moment. I felt like they had a moment in this episode. That was like a cool scene where he's like trying to hide the fact that he's trying to hide like the actual scenario or the actual problem by saying it's hypothetical, but Uhura caught on to him like right away. And then I love that they kind of, even though Una's like, don't do this alone, and Scotty's like kind of trying to do it alone. In a way, I think that was a really cool moment because he did let Uhura in
Mhm,
to kind of help him. Like he had his
mhm,
rules of like how, but she was very like good. Yeah, and I thought Celia Rose getting so good because the switch from that like producer character to like back to Uhura, like it's just so well done. Like I love the real life versus the holodeck moments that they had in the episode too. That was very cool, well done and well edited, and it flowed seamlessly.
yeah, like you, I really like that moment between Scotty and O'Hara, and look, I wasn't thinking that it was going to set up a potential relationship between the two of them. That's the last thing I was thinking, but it was just a really really nice.
Marcel, it's like there's not really a relationship until Star Trek 5. So this is a very
Right,
long,
very long
long,
courtship.
long courtship, and never seen on screen again, if
Yeah,
ever. It's like
no,
it's
but
just out of the
but
blue. But I love
yeah,
it. I love it.
yeah. No, no, it was a really really nice moment. And um, like you, Sohail, I like how it tipped the cap um Star Trek Five and the the possible relationship that Scotty and Ahura have later on. Can you excuse me for 1 second because I'm getting a phone call, so I gotta
Yeah, sure.
just 1 second.
Uh, all right. Audience says, sometimes uh, we're not live, but we are live. We don't edit. So Marcel's away while he's getting this phone call. What did you think of all this stuff? This is the moment where we're gonna look in the chat and we're gonna see what you guys are saying about all this stuff. When Marcel gets back, I don't know if he's still hearing me or anything like that, but what I do want to talk about next is all the visuals. I thought that the gamma burst was a spectacular sequence. Scotty having to give 30 seconds of, thrust. I loved seeing Ortega's back on her at her post. I hope she's no longer suspended. I hope she's kind of had enough time to think about it or meet with the warrant officer, sorry, or whatever, whoever she was going to meet to kind of re-educate herself with with the chain of command, if you will. But yeah, overall, I think that I feel like, every season, of course, the effects get a little bit better, but some of the sequences with the Enterprise have been spectacular. The space sequences, we'll call them, and certainly this episode had a lot of that. So, what did you think? Let us know. Is Marcelo back? He must have got an important phone call. I wonder if he's gonna come back. We might have to pause and edit. I've never had to edit
N-
these.
No, no, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, yeah. One of my family members has been doing well, and I just got an update from one of my cousins.
Okay. Are you feeling okay to continue, Marcelo?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. I just had to
All right.
text them to say.
I
Thank you,
just
the
noticed
update.
there is a pause button, so we could have paused
Yeah, yeah.
in StreamYards. I didn't realize you could just pause,
There
so
is
next
yeah,
time
yeah,
we'll take
there
advantage of
is
it.
a pause button
Did you
for
hear
sure.
any of what I was saying about the special effects and everything like that in this episode, and like the ship sequences with the
Uh,
gamma?
no, no, I did not. I took my headphones off.
Oh, that's fine. I was just saying
That's
that I
fine.
thought this season some of the Enterprise ship sequences, the space sequences, have been spectacular, and this episode was certainly that. When when Scotty has to get power um for 30 more seconds, and Ortegas is back at her station, and all that stuff, that whole sequence with the gamma burst. What did you think of all that, and Ortegas being back?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know how I feel about Ortegas because for the past couple of weeks, Ortegas has been really bothering me. Because look, I understand that Ortegas is going through some shit right now, which is which is more than which is more than in her own right to go through some shit. But I don't like how she's I don't like how she's been disobedient for the past couple of weeks. Like that really bothers me. And the fact that she's not able to recognize that she has some lingering issues to work out really ignores me. But that being said, as someone who in certain situations stuffs down their emotions to sort of just get through it and to keep moving, I totally understand where she's coming from. I don't know if that answered your question, but I just had a lot
No,
to
no, it
say.
does. It absolutely does. I mean, I have a lot of empathy for the character. I really like her, and I can see she's suffering, but in this episode she seemed to be a little bit better. So I was saying that maybe she got enough time off, from that, and maybe the
Right,
warrant officer it reminded her of her role and everything like that.
right.
Um but I also thought it was cool that, like, once the problem was kind of out in the open, like how Pike's Pike's like, we gotta, like how he kind of handled the situation is always great and stuff like that. I enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I know, no, I think that I think that Erica as a character has a long way to go on this series, and I'm really interested to see what the character, what the writers are going to do to the character, and if the character is going to mature a little bit, mature a little bit more because of this hard time that she seems to be going through.
Do you have any comments on any of the in holodeck characters, like TK, for example, the Jean character? Like, did any of the or the Lucille Ball character, like,
Uh,
did any of yeah, go ahead.
my favorite character, my favorite character is a character played by Anson Mount, TK. I think his name
TK,
was
yeah.
TK,
TK.
because he just reminded me of a exaggerated version of the Great Bird of the Galaxy, Gene Roddenberry. Look, and I I've heard stories about Gene Roddenberry, but I imagine that that's how Gene Roddenberry was, but like a very exaggerated version of Gene Roddenberry and a very funny version of Gene Roddenberry. So it just made me laugh. It just made me laugh. So every
Yeah.
time that he was on screen, the way that Anson Mount was playing him was pitch perfect, and it just made me laugh sometimes.
The best line was, "Does nobody care about my vision?" Because, like that meme about Gene's vision, and like,
Yeah,
this is not Gene's vision, or this isn't,
yeah.
like everyone's like, yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's like such a great moment. You're right. Um, and kudos to everyone, but kudos to Anson Mount, because I think he was like the most removed from his actual character.
He
like
was. He
like he was so different from Pike, right? Like, it was like so crazy.
yeah, he was the one. He was the one that was like so far outside the box.
I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I like that Amelia Moon refers to Spock as Detective Spock. It like it's like it reminds me of Detective Pikachu for some reason.
Yep.
I don't know
Uh-huh.
why. I think there should be like Detective Spock comic books or Detective Detective Spock.
Detective Spock.
Like
Can't get it
Spack.
out there, can you,
I
Spock?
usually say Spack. Uh, I think they should rename him Spack. But I love that
Yeah.
they refer to Spock as like a cinema. He might be a cinema small snob. I thought that
A
was
bit of a stuff.
he would be. I feel like young Spock would be a cinema snob. Maybe not older Spock,
Yeah.
but young Spock certainly would
Yeah.
be.
No, no, but you know what? I think Spock in general, I think Spock in general will look down on cinema. I don't think that he would find it
Really?
useful.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
I
know about
because
that.
because I think that he would find it as like a good like as a good distraction sometimes, but I don't think that he generally would like it. I don't
I
know.
love Dr. Mbenga's character. I think it was Mick,
Mick.
and they reference Lower Decks because of the salon, and they reference and that he started an artist salon, which I thought was really interesting. So there was like kind of
Yeah.
like another connection to another Star Trek series, which was really really well done. So that was cool
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Also the production design of this episode was really, really wonderful. Like the sets that they were actually filming, and I don't know if um, like it just looks so wonderful. It looks so bespoke. It almost looked too perfect. To going to a point that you were that you brought up in our opening, it almost looked
Yeah,
too
but
perfect.
yeah, but I didn't like mind again, I didn't mind the visuals being like so good because the recreation room in the animated series did a pretty good job of like projecting, and it was a confined space. Like what one thing that's interesting is you could tell it's a big room, like it's a it's like just like the holodeck on TNG. It's a big room, but they
Mhm.
never leave the house. Like the holodecks. Like so, they're in that way they did show that
They're
it's not as
confined, right?
advanced. Yeah, they're confined to just the house, so it's not as
There's
advanced
as the other
as the
one,
as
as
the
the other
as the
versions.
as the holodeck that we know in TNG and Voyager and everything. In Deep Space Nine, the holo suites, and so on and so forth. So yeah, in
Mhm.
that way they did it. I just meant like that I wish they kind of used other terminal like they I
Other
wish they just
terminology,
called it
right?
the recreation room and not like
The
brought in the
holodeck.
holodeck part. I wish they didn't say end computer end program, although that's logical, I guess,
That's
but
fine.
it's fine, but it's still, and then the arch thing, like I just wish they'd come up with like different things, but that were similar, like
Right,
synonyms, if you will, of
right.
the thing that we know. But it again, like I said, it is a minor, tiny nitpick. But no, I wouldn't have wanted to see like glitching or anything like that. That's not what I meant when I
Mhm.
said like a
Yeah,
rudimentary or lesser, like less advanced version. I just meant like in some other ways. Um, and I do like that it's more advanced than the Discovery holographic technology. So you are seeing a progression, and it does make sense. Like at first, I was like one of these people that were like, "Oh, holograms shouldn't be in TOS," but in hindsight, I think that's kind of like, you know, it is weird that like they don't use holograms, but they had a really good explanation for it in Discovery also, I think, where Pike wanted to tear out all the holographic technology
yeah,
from the Enterprise, so it kind of explained that, you know.
yeah,
And even here it backs that up. It doesn't like contradict that, because even here Pike at the at the end of the episode, they're like, we don't endorse this thing. And he's like, well, it could work if it had a dedicated like power system or whatever. And he's like, put that in the fine print. Like Pike doesn't want anything to do with this.
no,
And
it
it doesn't
doesn't.
come back on the Enterprise. That's the other thing I think, like what's important to remember is like these starships are highly modular and highly updatable, or retrofittable, which is something that I think that has always been apparent, but we're seeing it in action now. Like they're able to change things around like really easily. Like we always knew the bridge module is something you could just pop in and out, but apparently you can do this all over the ship. Like you can really, they're really like Lego. They're like Lego ships in a way.
They're Lego ships at this
Yeah.
point.
So I
No,
do like
no,
that. I do like that. Like they tried it out, it didn't work out. They had a horrible experience with it, and it doesn't come back until the animated series. Like they don't actually have another recreation room until the
yeah, I
animated.
mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, look, um, the fact that we got a holodeck episode in Stranger Worlds to me is amazing on its own, because if I was running the show and somebody brought this up to me, I would have gone, no, it's too early for that. You can't do something like this. But I cannot tell you how much joy I had while watching this episode.
Yeah, it
So
was just, it's a fun episode. I would watch it again.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
a really fun
yeah,
episode. Well, we're
yeah.
coming up actually towards unless you have other notes. I feel like I went through everything I wanted to talk about. Do you
No,
have
I
anything
mean,
else?
no, I mean this. The only thing that I would like to bring up is the tail end of this episode with the last dance between La'an and Spock at the end. I mean that
Oh,
I
we didn't talk
was
about it. I'm sorry, I almost skipped it. Yeah, yeah.
well,
Let's talk about it. Go ahead,
that
Marcelo. Say your piece about
that that
it.
got me on the floor. I mean, when that happened, he couldn't see me, folks, but I stood up
Were you like, ooh?
and I was like, "Oh my god, it's so
So
cool!"
let me
But
ask you then. I guess since I guess it's the elephant in the room because they do reference in the previously on the Roger Corby thing. So like this kind of is an interesting twist. I guess Spock was kind of like pining for Chapel. We met Roger Corby. Chapel's like, hey, just forget about me. She's clearly into Roger Corby. That we had this whole fan. Interestingly enough, the another fantasy kind of episode, the Q or Trelane or he kind of created this fantasy world, and from Spock's perspective for the wedding, and now here we're in La'an's fantasy world. So that's an interesting kind of like time, like similarity there. Both of these characters had their kind of fantasy worlds, and now they're kind of, are they
colliding.
like is La'an, are they compatible? Are they going to stay together? Is La'an into Spock, or does she feel sorry for him that it didn't work out with Chapel and she's lonely? Like, what do you think's
No,
going on? Like, what's the
no,
dynamic here?
no. I honestly think that La'an and Spock could work better than Christine and Spock,
I do
because I
too,
be,
because we don't know what's going to happen. With Christine and Spock, we already know the outcome. But
mm.
here it's kind of strange and new as,
Ah,
as they say.
Christine's got to get her shit together. She's got to get away from that Corby guy. I'm telling you, he's no
But
good, guys. He's
no,
no
we
good.
already know what's gonna happen. It's a Christine has a tragic story. I feel for Christine. Like, I
That
mean, yes, she denied Spock, but also she doesn't deserve. I mean, like that's her choice. She doesn't deserve the tragedy of losing her fiance to, and then he's a
yeah,
robot. It's
okay,
like
okay, okay,
it's
okay,
so
okay,
sad.
okay, okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think is going to make La'an a better choice for Spock for the moment, because La'an is a very, very emotional character. She is a very emotional person. She's willing to to have her emotions out on her sleeve in in a way that Christine wasn't. Because what did Christine say a couple episodes ago, right? She said when things get too blubbery and emotional, I walk because I don't like drama, right? La'an is someone who I think can walk through drama and can go through it and can learn something from it and can become better from it. Christine seems to me, Christine is a character to me that uh, when bad stuff happens to her, she just kind of, I don't want to say this about the character, but I feel like she kind of uh, rolls over, let it and lets it happen to her. I can't believe I just said that.
Maybe I see where you're going with that, and I agree that La'an is probably someone who feels very deeply. But what I think I agree. I think I'm agreeing as to their compatibility, because what La'an is able to do that I don't think Nurse Chapel is able to do. That I think they're both very emotional, but I think La'an has has mastered her emotions in many ways. She's a lot more
Thank you.
than
Yeah.
Chapel, perhaps. Like she's emotional, but she controls or is able to. Control is not a great word, but just has mastered her emotions, if you will,
Right.
to a greater extent than maybe Christine. Christine's like a
Yeah.
hot kind of
A hot
mess.
mess.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah, she's a hot
at
mess.
this point in her life, Christine maybe is different later on, and certainly like, but I think that's why maybe Spock and La'an are more compatible and more interesting, because
Right.
they
Right.
have this kind of like they have an interest in different, in somewhat different ways. They have the same desire to, because Vulcans are very emotional too. The only thing is that they are able to
They
suppress.
suppress it, right? Yeah.
Right, and so I think that's going to be, yeah, I do, yeah, I see what your point is. Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, and the final dance moment between Spock and La'an was amazing. But the moment when they locked lips, I went, "Oh my god, where the hell is this gonna go?" Like I was so excited. I am so excited as someone who has been a Spock and Chapel shipper from like day one, right? Day one. He can attest, folks. Day one. I
Yeah,
never I never saw this coming, and
and you
I
like
I can
it.
t- I can tell you I am so on board for this.
That's cool.
I never saw it coming.
What do you guys think in the audience? Let us know. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I think, Marcel, it's time for us to rate the episode, give any final thoughts we might have, and sign off.
Um, I don't have any final thoughts. The only thing about the episode that I wasn't too sure about was the cold open that I previously said, and the way that was handled. So for that reason, above all, I will give this episode a 9 out of 10, just because I'm not so sure
Wow,
about the cold open.
Marcelo, a 9.
A
That's
9, yeah,
amazing for
almost
you. Like,
perfect.
you've been giving like, yeah, that's great. Wow.
It
Wow.
was,
High
yeah, it was
praise.
absolutely wonderful. It was
Let's see if
absolutely
you
wonderful.
hold your opinion when you go on Text Trek later on. Well, in the future it's later on, but
Yeah, the
it's like a
future.
week. It's a week
Yeah,
from now, but
next week.
let's see how you, on the Text Trek Thursday night stream. Let's see how you kind of hold that opinion. I'd be curious. I enjoy
Yeah.
watching. I enjoy recording these, watching them at 11 a.m. and then watching
Yeah.
the Text Trek stream to see how like you might have like evolved your opinion.
Change, right?
Uh,
Change a little bit.
or evolved, yeah, changed or evolved. We're all entitled to do that. I don't like this idea of like we should hold fast to our opinions unless they're really, unless they're like fundamental things. But
Right. Right.
I would say that for me, I think I'm gonna give this a 9.5.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also not quite perfect because I will give it a little slight,
Ding.
ding, just because I think that I still am not sure. Maybe my opinion will evolve, but I still think the cold open would have been really cool if they like were faithful to the original series somehow and built like, like it would have been nice to see Paul Wesley on the original series bridge. In other words,
Yeah.
like that would have been
That
a
would have been
real
really
cool thing.
cool.
Wearing the authentic, uniforms from that time. So that would be my only thing. I have a suspicion that Fathery at Text Trek might have similar feelings for me. We often align on this point.
Mhm.
Anyways, Marcel, this was super fun. I hope you enjoyed it too. And audience, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our discussion. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. So live long and prosper, everybody.